Now 6 o'clock, I will call the August 14th, 2018 meeting of the Miami Township Board of Trustees to order. We always start every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Barry.
Here.
Mr. Culp.
Here.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. We've got a nice crowd in the audience. I'm sure you're all here to discuss the resolutions to appoint designees by the Board of Trustees. Is that correct? No. So we have a couple exciting presentations, and thank you for being here. On behalf of the other board, members of the board, we'd like to welcome you and let you know you won't hurt our feelings if while you're here for the presentation, that you do decide to leave, but you are all welcome to stay through the entire meeting. With that, we unfortunately also have to start every meeting with the reading of the casualties. Pleased to report that there are none to report in Operation Inherent Resolve and Freedom Sentinel. We have first responder casualties. Captain Johnson.
Firefighter Jeremy Stoke, 37, Reading Fire Department, California. End of watch, July 26, 2018. Firefighter Don R. Smith, 61, Cal Fire, Sacramento, California. End of watch, July 27, 2018. Captain Brian Hughes, 33, Kings Canyon National Park, California. End of watch, July 29, 2018. Firefighter Andrew Brake, 40, Cal Fire, Sacramento, California. End of watch, August 9, 2018. Assistant Chief Madison Lee Clinton, Jr., Friendship Volunteer Fire Department, Altus, Oklahoma. End of watch, August 10, 2018. Battalion Chief Matthew Burchett, 42, Draper City Fire Department, Utah. End of watch, August 13, 2018. Trooper Tyler Edenhofer, 25, Arizona Department of Public Safety, Arizona. End of watch, July 25, 2018. Police Officer Michael Michachowski, 52, Milwaukee Police Department, Wisconsin. End of watch, July 25, 2018. Police Officer Adam Jobers Miller, 29, Fort Myers Beach Police Department, Florida. End of watch, July 28, 2018. Police Officer Kurt Grease, 46, California Highway Patrol, California. End of watch, August 10th, 2018. K-9 Cade, 5, Henry County Sheriff's Office, Indiana. End of watch, July 4th, 2018. K-9 Midas, 4, Hancock County Sheriff's Office, West Virginia. End of watch, July 30th, 2018. K-9 Hemi, 6, Arkansas State Police, Arkansas. End of watch, July 30th, 2018. K-9 Vader, 2, Virginia State Police, Virginia. End of watch, August 1st, 2018. And from our Canadian brothers, Police Officer Lawrence Costello, 45, Fredericton Police Department, New Brunswick, Canada. End of watch, August 10th, 2018. Police Officer Sarah Burns, 43, Fredericton Police Department, New Brunswick, Canada. End of watch, August 10th, 2018.
If we would observe a moment of silence. Thank you. I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Barry.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Now move on to department reports. Acting Township Administrator, Chief Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to introduce Lauren Bowden from the Ohio Treasurer's Office to present a presentation on Ohio Checkbook. Mr. McCord, do you have anything you want to add?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
There'll be a resolution later on in regards to this.
Ms. Bowen, when you come forward, grab that mic and pull it up close.
Wonderful. Good evening. My name is Lauren Bowen. I'm from the State Treasurer's Office, and it genuinely means a lot to be out here with you this evening. Thank you for having me, and this is something that we're very much celebrating on our end, that we could work with the township to accomplish building out the Ohio checkbook platform here in the township. And I'm here tonight to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being willing to move forward with this and being a partner and being a champion of government transparency, and seeing to it that we could give the taxpaying citizens here in Miami Township unprecedented access to how their hard-earned dollars are being spent. I thought that I would go and talk a little bit about our initiative. We're really meaning to empower citizen watchdogs throughout every community across Ohio. There are 3,962 local governments in this state, and now Miami Township is considered one of our partnering entities to have adopted the Ohio checkbook in order to be more transparent. This means that people are going to get better decision making on behalf of their leaders in a more efficient government. For instance, maybe instead of going to a conference in Hawaii, public employees are going to the conference in Cincinnati instead. Or perhaps rather than staying in the Ritz-Carlton, they choose the Holiday Inn. But it's empowering people, the citizens whose hard-earned money that we're entrusted with, to make good decisions and right decisions by them. And this really helps them to see how we're doing right and using their tax dollars wisely. Ohio Checkbook started because we were 46th in the country concerning government transparency. And we decided that in order to improve that ranking, we would digitize public records, make them more accessible online, and make them available in a format that was easier to understand. We accomplished this across every state agency in Ohio, so every last dime of taxpayer dollars at the state level could be observed on this digital platform, and that has earned us a ranking of #1 in the whole country concerning governmental transparency. And this is what inspired us to reach out to local communities such as Miami Township in order to see if we couldn't accomplish the same end on behalf of the hardworking people of your community as well. So I thought that in order to commemorate this evening and launch the Township's Ohio Checkbook website, I would show you a bit of the ins and outs briefly of what this platform really means to the community. So here is Miami Township's Ohio Checkbook website. It's a unique URL to the township. It can be found on the state's platform, ohiocheckbook.com, under the local government tab. I know that Jill has also made it available via the website here for the township. But this is an interactive, dynamic tool. So everything is clickable. There's a Google-style search bar. Just a little over $31.9 million are there for people to track across 1.5 fiscal years. It's very granular, so I will click down here into the police department so we can understand just police department spending. It readjusts the total to reflect over $8.6 million. The expenditures related just to police department spending are then detailed down here in the check registry area. I prefer, and I think most folks do, to use the Google-style search bar. For instance, you can type in something as specific as canine supplies, and it's readjusting the total just to reflect what was spent on canine supplies.
Please make note that the bar on the left changed, and that's not in millions anymore. That's $800.
Yes. So the canines are not costing the township millions of dollars. They don't eat that much. Then you can do a more general search across the website for instance, something like a vendor, in order to keep the vehicles looking nice here in the township. I typed in Z-BART to see how much was spent just at that and which departments. So this is the ins and outs of Miami Township's Ohio Checkbook platform, and I cannot thank Clay and Aaron and Mr. Hess and Mr. Morris, Mr. Berry, and Mr. Culp enough for your willingness to have achieved this on behalf of the tax-paying citizens here in the township. It really, truly, as I was saying, means a whole lot. I think Clay and I have been in discussions about this now for, I think, 3 years, and he's worked very hard and very closely alongside of me to see to it that we could accomplish this. And so, Clay, thank you for letting me pester you. And moreover, and on an ending note, I just cannot thank all the fine folks here in the township that work here every day and roll up their sleeves and really work hard. I've been in this office on multiple occasions, and I've just never been treated more warmly, and I've been met by a very warm reception every single time. And I just wanted to thank them for their professionalism and for being so kind to me. So is there anybody that has any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Bowen?
I know this is a lengthy meeting for you all tonight. There's lots of things to celebrate and lots of accolades to give. So I just wanted to end. If the topic does indeed want to be explored further, on August 22nd, I will be down at the movie theater for the discussion with you all and some of the folks from the community, and we can go into it in more depth.
So what you just referred to as Breakfast with the Board on
Yes.
August 22nd at
Yep.
Cineopolis. Everyone is welcome. So those watching on YouTube or those in the audience who want to get a more in-depth presentation, please come to Breakfast with the Board on the 22nd. And I'd just like to thank you for coming this evening. Please take our thanks back to Treasurer of State Josh Mandel.
Certainly.
Thank him for starting the Ohio Checkbook and bringing transparency to state and the opportunity for us to do it in local government. Is there any thought to that this product will maintain itself? We know that Mr. Mandel is term limited out.
Sure.
Is there any possibility that the next Treasurer of State could undo all that's been done?
I mean, my crystal ball has been broken now my entire life. So it's hard for me to say that, but we have full confidence that what we've built here is something that the citizens have become to depend on as a resource for understanding how their dollars are spent. So we don't see how it would be feasible for the project to be undone.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and it's our pleasure.
Next, we'll move to the police department. We're going to change our order just a little bit. Captain Johnson, we are pleased to announce the hiring of a new officer, and tonight will be his oath of office. If I can have Officer Lewis come up, and with who is joining you up front.
Thank you, Chief. It's a good day for the police department. Officer Jason Lewis began his career as a police officer in February of 2014. He began at the Miami Valley Hospital and later the same year added his service as a police officer for the Cedarville Police Department. He worked for both departments through 2018. At the Cedarville Police Department, he has participated in the Field Training Officer Program and served as a shift supervisor. Officer Lewis is a 2008 graduate of the Dayton Technology Design High School. In January 2014, he completed his basic police training curriculum to be an Ohio Peace Officer from the Clark State University Police Academy, and subsequently obtained his Peace Officer Training Commission. Jason's leisure activities include fishing and spending quality time with family and friends. Well, Jason, I know we have Andrea and Tara here, please. Tara, please come on up.
Yes, sir.
I state your name.
Jason Willis.
Do hereby swear
I do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
and the resolutions of Miami Township, Montgomery County,
and the resolutions of Miami Township, Montgomery County,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of my position
of my position
as police officer of Miami Township.
as a police officer of Miami Township.
So help me God.
So help me God. If you draw blood, it's going. But you need to get in practice for that. Thank you.
Jason, do me a favor and take this minute and you pack out the family friends who you have here.
My daughter, both my daughters, Mariah and Jason, my dad, Uncle Sandman, my girl's mom, Cheryl, Tyler, my little brother back there, Devin Berkshire, and his wife. Oh, and my chief, I'm sorry. My chief, Cedarville.
Thank you for being here.
First, I want to thank God for been able to make it through this process. I know it's been a long process for me. I want to thank the township for giving me this opportunity. I also have my family backing me up. Law enforcement always been a job I always wanted to do, and Miami Township is a department I always wanted to work for. I just never thought I was gonna be able to get out here, but I'm here now, and I'm willing to do the job and make sure I make the township look good. So, like I said. Congratulations, sir. Yeah, right.
Next on our agenda is we have a retirement. I promise not to make fun of him, and I'll hold my promise. Buddy Stites is retiring after numerous years with our department, and I will turn the ceremony over to Captain Johnson.
Thank you, Chief. Officer Gregory Buddy Stites began his career as an auxiliary police officer on August 30th, 1995 at the Miami Township Police Department. He served in that capacity approximately 1 year until August 6th, 1996, when his status changed to reserve police officer. He worked in a part-time status till June 22nd, 1998, when he began full-time employment as a Miami Township police officer. During his career, Officer Stites worked all the shifts and participated in a variety of special programs and events, such as National Night Out and OVI Task Force. His training file is extensive and includes many certificates and training courses, such as proficiency as an intoxicator, senior operator, and evidence technician. A review of Officer Stites' personnel file revealed several accommodation letters from the public adjacent public safety agencies, and supervisors. The consistent theme in the commendation letters reveal Buddy's pleasant demeanor, attention to detail, and commitment to his profession. Buddy's sense of humor and laughter will be missed at roll call. Buddy, I wish you years and years of good health, good company of family and friends, and happy retirement.
As you said, Buddy kind of worn out some body parts. He's going to have surgery soon. But Buddy, on behalf of the Miami Township Department and your friends, the first thing I'd like to present to you, I would like Sergeant Ferris, your duty sergeant, to come up. Speaking to the mic.
You want me?
No, him.
I just want to say a couple things. Buddy always did a real good job for second shift on day watch there, and he took his calls. He took good reports. He wrote a lot of tickets, and he took very good pride in his evidence work that he collected, and always wanted to make sure he did it the right way. And roll call and the locker room will never be the same without Buddy in there. And, we hope that he has a long and healthy and good retirement. And so we're going to miss him. Thank you.
On behalf of the department, we'd like to present you your duty weapon and this display case for your numerous years of service. Actually, it says really nice things about you, but I won't read them all. In addition to that, we'd like to present you your retired credentials from Miami Township so that you have proof that you worked here.
Boy.
Also like to present you this retirement service award to Officer Gregory Buddy Seitz with sincere appreciation for 23 years of service, August 30th, 1995, July 31st, 2018. You've earned the respect and admiration of all the members of our police department. And I'll give this to him. And one final item, Mr. Berry.
I know they said you wrote a lot of tickets over the years, but you didn't use me. That doesn't
He'll
mean-
pass the
Where's
torch.
the new guy? Take it easy.
I'll tell you where he lives.
That's where your beat will be the first ones on my street. Yep. On behalf of the Miami Township Board of Trustees, we want to give you something to congratulate you on your 22 years of service to the township, your dedicated service, and we just wish you the best in retirement, and wish you nothing but the best for you. Thank you. Sir, thank you.
I am going to make you say a few words to introduce your family that is with you.
All righty. This is my daughter, Angela. This is my daughter, Erica. And that's why I didn't want you to see.
Okay,
I appreciate the last 23 years. It's been great. Thank you.
I'd like to move on with a couple other presentations we have. If I could have Officer Pat McCoy come up, please. And if I also could have Mr. and Mrs. Klein bring Henry and Oliver up. Back on June 12th of this year, Officer McCoy had a wonderful encounter with Mr. Henry Klein, and I'm going to let him explain everything that happened.
Evening. On June 12th, I was on patrol, and I was in traffic on 741 near, well, in front of one of my favorite places, Dunkin' Donuts. But I like the coffee. I was sitting there in traffic, and a van or SUV pulls up next to me, and just one of those days. It's just another day of traffic around the mall. And the back window on the passenger side rolls down, and this young man looked me square in the eye, made sure he made eye contact with me, and like it was his job, he said, "Thank you." Now, I've been waved to by a lot of kids, and most of the times the kids are bouncing around in the car and looking all over the place. Henry intentionally said thank you to me, and it hit me. And I was really impressed. I got the license plate on the car as it pulled away from me, and did some research, and we have challenge coins made for the police department. And I told the chief when we got him, I said, "I'm going to send one to this young man." I said, it was really amazing what he did. When I got home that day, I even told my wife, how much it made me appreciate the public that I work for, reminded me why I do this job, and gave me hope for our future with young men like this. And I sent him a coin as a gratitude for his actions. And when I was on vacation this year, to my surprise, Henry's mother posted everything on Facebook, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So luckily, I was able to make contact with Emily, and I told her that anytime they wanted to come to the police department that I'd give them a personal tour, which they did. And that took place just a few weeks later. So I have the enjoyment of knowing Henry personally now. So in honor of Henry's appreciation of the police department, and especially me, the department has awarded an achievement award to Henry, and also from the Miami Township Board of Trustees, to recognize him for making a positive difference. Henry, this is for you, buddy. Okay? Also, what we have, Henry, is a Build-A-Bear for you and a Build-A-Bear for Oliver, because we know he's going to take after his brother. And I'd like to thank Zach and Emily for bringing both the boys out to the police department. That day we had a ball playing in the police car and around the police station, and I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
This really shows kind of the power of social media. Emily's post was private to begin with. A former coworker of hers, Stephanie Johnson, is my neighbor who sent me something. I replied back, get a hold of her, see if she'll make it public for us, and it went like wildfire. We appreciate it. Pat has not stopped talking about it the entire time. I sent him what she sent me while he was on vacation, and again, it's just the social media. Things have changed so much in the 41 years I've been doing this, and this is what public relations is, and this is what makes us do our job, and we can't speak highly enough of them.
It's nice to see. It's when I got this letter, I was like, oh, what did I do? I got like a handwritten envelope from the police department. I was like, it was heavy, and anyway, it was just, we all know social media. My husband and I are both teachers. It's filled with just terrible things. So I was like, just something nice, something nice happened today. Like, look at, he didn't have to do that. And, you know, and I remember the day, I remember looking back and being like, Henry, close your window. What are you doing? And he's like, just wanted to say thank you to this police officer. I was like, oh, well, okay. Like, yeah, that's fine. But it's just very powerful. So it's just really cool. Thank you.
We have a couple more presentations to talk about. If I could I'll turn this back over to Captain Johnson. If I could have Mr. Mel King and Mr. Mike Lyon come up here, please.
Thank you, Chief. As you're aware, we embarked on an extensive renovation project at the police department, and the cooperation of really every person in this chamber, and especially for our police department for their flexibility, has made that very nice. But also the wisdom, talent, desire, sense of urgency of these two men to my left have really made this project go with very, very minimal disruption to public service. And I just want to, you thought you was here to do a presentation. That's not going to happen.
I'm going to apologize now.
Yeah. And Mel, just your knowledge is just invaluable. So, gentlemen, really do appreciate your contributions to our police department. Thank you very much. Mel, if I may, as an expression of gratitude for your contribution to the Miami Township Security and Renovation Project, July 2018. Again, thank you, sir. So. Okay. Mike, my pleasure, sir, as an expression of gratitude for your contribution to the Miami Township Security and Renovation Project. Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
Nice catch.
They've been catching things all year long.
So Captain Johnson had the idea of giving something to Mel. He's been invaluable in this project. And then it was trying to figure out how to get him here without him knowing what we were doing. And this has been a couple weeks. I will tell you, I lied to you. Then we thought, well, you know what? Mike's been just as important in this. He's become a very close friend of ours now, one of our family. And the attention to detail for a project manager is just unbelievable. I would see him pick little things up that it's like I walked past and didn't even realize. So again, we kind of lied to him. His boss, Mr. Becker, is here. We did tell him what was going on. But there's one other person that this project wouldn't have happened without his attention to detail. And it's somebody I've known since 1978, and that's Captain Johnson. And I have something for him that he doesn't know about. But our project wouldn't have been going without the effort of him. So Russ, I want to present to you our appreciation from the police department for all the work you did.
Oh, thank you, Chief.
Yours will be safe in there. There you go. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
No Build-A-Bear? No Build-A-Bear? What the heck?
They don't get a Build-A-Bear.
Can I say this word?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to try to make this brief. I want to say this about Mike before he heads out of here.
Get back here, Mike.
I told Mike this, just he and I, one-on-one, but I'd like to say this publicly. Mike has been a breath of fresh air to me with this project, just because of his knowledge, his willingness just to go the extra mile to do the right thing, and I just appreciate him for that. And it's been a pleasure doing this project. Pleasure working for Miami Township. Thank you.
We'll take a very short break so we can do my best thing of clearing a room.
I don't want to knock most of this down.
It's on my last.
They didn't give you a police bear?
They didn't have any police uniforms.
You can order some online.
Captain Johnson, I understand you have a motion for a liquor permit.
Thank you, Chief. Recently reviewed the attached application for stock transfer that's been filed by Funktown LLC doing business as Julius Nightclub. We completed a check on the individuals involved. This application found no reason to contest this permit. Therefore, respectfully recommend the Board of Trustees pass a motion approving the new liquor permit and do not request a hearing of the Ohio Department of Liquor Control on this matter.
You may have any questions for Captain Johnson?
No, sir.
Dan Mayberry, Public Works.
Good evening, Board. I do not have any formal items for the Board tonight, but are there any questions for me? Thank you.
Chris Snyder, Community Development.
This is certainly an important aspect of what our department manages on a day-to-day
Oh, is that not on? That's better. Obviously, it's our goal to work with property owners in each of these cases to try and bring these issues to a resolution without going this route, but occasionally we do have need to pursue action through the court system. So part of our intent with updating the code was also to consolidate the code, get it a little more clear in terms of interpretation, and also to just reduce some of the duplication. So we were able to bring that down from about a 30-page code to a 20-page code in that process. We also put into place a structure for issuance of these civil citations. We did make some changes to the definitions of junk vehicles to bring that in line with the language that's in the Ohio Revised Code. We've also made some changes to how we regulate recreational vehicles, which I'll go through here in a moment, along with swimming pools and trash containers. So the Exterior Property Maintenance Code deals with a number of items ranging from traffic markings to gutters and drainage to windows to exterior storage. Some examples of these issues that we face on a regular basis in the township on certain properties are, again, high grass, which again, with the foreclosure issues that we've seen, that's been an ongoing issue. Again, that is hopefully getting improved, but typically we would deal with high grass issues through our nuisance abatement process, because typically those properties are vacant. There is no one there to cite. We would still intend on handling most of those issues through that process. Outdoor refrigeration, among many other items that sometimes we find people storing on the exterior of their house, which we would prefer they store inside their property. Exterior storage, a variety of items, again, typically items that are really not appropriate to be stored on the exterior of a property. On the photo on the right, again, miscellaneous automobile parts, things like that, are things that, again, we do have occasion to have to note to property owners that they need to store those inside or remove them from the property. Again, missing siding, peeling paint on commercial businesses even can be an issue from time to time. Potholes, general parking lot maintenance, these are items a lot of times we run into with commercial properties. So there are a variety of issues on a regular basis that our staff is out there trying to enforce and get property owners to improve their properties, bring them into the general standard that we expect for most properties throughout the township. So the civil citation process as outlined in the new code would involve a violation notice being sent to the property owner. Again, typically if this is a first time issue with that property owner, we would attempt to make direct contact with them by calling them or leaving a note to see if there is an issue or a reason why the issue has been generated. If ultimately we cannot resolve it, then a violation notice be sent, a citation could be issued by a police officer. The civil citation process provides the person that has been cited with the opportunity to essentially plead guilty by mailing in the fine. They would pay the fiscal officer directly for that. They have two routes to deny the charges. They can deny the charges in writing, or they can implicitly deny the charges by not paying the fine. At that point, we would schedule a hearing at court, and then it would go through the court proceedings. The fines that we have established for this, a first violation would be $100 and then would go up to the maximum of $1,000 for the fourth or subsequent violations. Again, it would be our intent even in these cases that this would typically never get beyond the first violation. It'd certainly be our intent to resolve this at that point. And we think this level of fines would typically get that resolved in some fashion prior to getting to that.
Mr. Snyder, could you leave on that slide? I just had a quick question on that topic. Was
Yes.
there research done in other municipalities or townships to where these numbers came up and why we decided on a 4-step process?
We did look at, there aren't a lot of other home rule townships to begin with, and there aren't very many that also have a property maintenance code. We did look at the few that do. They typically had a gradated process like this, typically a 4-step process. Again, the intent being to really encourage somebody to resolve the issue initially, again, and not necessarily hit them with a $1,000 fine right off the bat. but certainly to ramp that up fairly quickly if in the few cases where we do have somebody that really is not complying and continues to ignore notices, that would get ramped up fairly quickly.
My only thought on this, and I'd ask we're not going to vote on this tonight. This is going to be held for this is a first reading, but I'd maybe ask some consideration of the other trustees to think the amount of time and energy that's spent. I heard you say the department's going to do everything it can to try to get this remedied without a violation. If at that point it's still not remedied, I don't think $100 comes close to the amount of time and effort that's spent by staff chasing it. So in my mind, I think this first step, I'd just see a 3-step process myself, because if our intent is to get the remedy done and somebody's willing to say, all right, I will fix this, because we don't want to write these tickets, we don't want to fine, we don't want to violate. If somebody's going to skip all those steps, I would say at least a $250 fine would be a better start, in my opinion, and it shouldn't take 4 steps. That said, I did also read in here that every day that you're out of compliance, you could potentially be escalated to the next level. Is that also correct?
Correct, potentially.
So potentially, if you could earn your $1,000 fine in 4 days.
Potentially, it would. Obviously, again, we're going to be cognizant of the realities of going through the court system and getting someone through that process. But yes.
Thank you.
So they deny the charges in writing, what happens?
Then a hearing is scheduled with the court, with Miamisburg Municipal Court. And then they would be brought in and potentially they would, if found guilty, they would have to pay court costs. If they're found not guilty, potentially we're liable for court costs, but it would go through the normal process then. So several of the items, junk and unlicensed and operable vehicles, the majority of the code did not change from what we currently have today and is in effect today. There were a couple items such as this topic where the definition has been changed over time in the Ohio Revised Code, so we were simply updating that definition to reflect exactly what is in the Ohio Revised Code. We did also establish a separate definition for inoperable vehicles. The recreational vehicle and trailer parking, this is probably the single item that we are proposing a substantial change to the way that we interpret and would enforce this rule. One of the fundamental issues that our enforcement staff has today is that we have an allowance for somebody to load and unload a recreational vehicle in their driveway for a 48-hour period. Otherwise, you are not permitted to have a recreational vehicle or a boat within your driveway. The problem is that there's no time limit of when that 48-hour starts or stops. So effectively, when we've run into this issue and taken it to the level of going to court, we have to prove that that vehicle did not move at all within a 48-hour period, but short of sitting out there and videotaping it the entire time, there's no effective way to do that. So what we have proposed is changing the way that that is worded such that you get a 48-hour period. That period starts from the instant effectively that we see the vehicle there. It doesn't matter if it moves or leaves during that time, but 48 hours later it cannot be there. We would allow you 2 times within 30 days to do that. So effectively you would have the opportunity to bring your vehicle in, load it up, go on a weekend excursion or for a week, bring it back, unload it. But the intent is, again, that it's not to be there on a regular basis. We have a number of complaints every year regarding recreational vehicles. I don't know the exact rationale. It was prior to my even being here of how the original rule was adopted, but effectively it's been a compromise between the portion of our residents that don't want to have RVs or boats parked on properties at all, and the portion obviously that do utilize them and want to have them parked. So we do allow you to park them at the side or the rear of your house on a regular basis, but otherwise they're not permitted to be at the front of your house. The majority of the complaints that we get every year are with recreational vehicles being parked at the front of your house. Under the current rules, again, it's difficult to enforce from a realistic standpoint. The other change would be requiring that if it is a boat and it's parked at the front, that it's got to be hitched at all times to an operable vehicle. Again, the intent being that you're just in the process of bringing it over to load things up and then you're leaving. Now, if somebody parks it on the street, that's ultimately a matter with the police department, but if it's parked in your driveway, it would have to be hitched. So now again, you could park it at the side of your house and leave it all year long there under the current rules and under the proposed rules. So
In a designated driveway type space, you can't just drive it in your grass.
under our current standards, you can leave it parked. You have to maintain the grass, but you can park a boat on the grass at the side of your house under the current rules. So
You can?
you can, yes.
And an RV as well?
And an RV as well.
Okay, so can you please take
Now,
a
typically-
minute to explain this picture? I'm a little confused as to what you're showing in this.
Well, this picture is showing a recreational vehicle hitched to a truck. We have several others. Again, the typical issues we see are people parking and they're projecting out past the front of the house, or they're just sitting stored in the front of the house, in front of the garage, not hitched to anything.
So the picture is referencing it can't be at the road level. It has to be the side or the rear of the home.
Yes.
But in this particular figure 2, it can't be on the side of that side of the home because that's also at the street.
Correct. Yeah, it cannot face a street.
And
But
in
it has,
in figure 1, it's in a driveway, but it has to be also on the driveway at the side of the home, not in the lower part of the driveway.
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Some of the, again, other issues we see on a regular basis, boats, trailers, other items like that are typically placed out in front. The swimming pool issue is we added a definition of the property maintenance code to swimming pools, or for swimming pools, and did make that a little bit different than what it is under the zoning resolution. Our intent is to ultimately to change the zoning resolution or get it out of there, because currently it says a pool that holds 24 inches or more of water. Our inspectors can't tell whether the pool's actually got water in it or not a lot of the time. If it's a maintenance issue, though, we believe the intent is to have your pool maintained, the area around it maintained. So we've stated if it's designed or capable clearly of holding more than 24 inches of water, then it's a pool. The other issue that has come up on a regular basis have been complaints about trash cans and people placing trash cans out prior to trash day. This proposal would establish a 24-hour time period before and after your collection day to have your trash can placed at the curb. Obviously, again, this will require discretion among our inspection staff to be realistic around vacations and things like that. But we do have certain properties from time to time that are repeat violators of these issues, leave their trash cans out all the time, or place large amounts of trash at the curb. And in some cases, it's issues where things can't be collected, and when it can't be collected, they simply leave it there at the curb, and it sits there and begins to rot. So again, this would reinforce that if it's not your trash day, it needs to be back up by your house or stored inside. So.
But just to clarify, this establishes a 24-hour pre and post. So if my collection day is Thursday, I could have my cans out on Wednesday and bring them in on Friday.
Correct, correct. And certainly, again, we would contact folks if somebody went on vacation 1 week and just had to leave it out. We're not going to slap them with a fine right away. So those are the major changes. Like I said, this is really just a readoption primarily from the enforcement standpoint of our current property maintenance code with those changes. Under the home rule authority, again, we do have to do 2 readings, so tonight would just be to introduce the resolutions. Those are only read by title, not the full resolution, and then at the subsequent meeting, there would be an opportunity to make a motion on those. We do have the 4 resolutions because, again, there are a number of steps to outline not just the adoption of the code, but also who's going to be enforcing the code, outlining the civil fines, and then assignment of the minimum qualifications. So those were all resolutions that were previously passed for the current property maintenance code. With that, I know this is a hugely exciting topic, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those. So I appreciate your time.
So given that this is a first reading, there will be a potential second reading and a vote at the next meeting, or?
Yes, yes.
And all of these documents and these resolutions have been published and are available to the public to view?
They're with the packet, yes. Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Very good.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Kyle Hinkleman, Community Development and IT.
I have nothing formal for the board this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Clay McCord, Finance.
Good evening, Board. I have 3 items tonight. The first is a resolution to appoint designees on your behalf for public records training as required by the Ohio Revised Code. The second is a resolution to officially authorize our participation in the online Ohio Checkbook program. And the last resolution is a housekeeping matter to release a debt service component of part of the Austin Landing agreement, Phase 2 agreement. The developer had a debt service agreement guarantee built into the original agreement, and they have sufficiently built out that project to where now those buildings and those parcels are adequately servicing in excess of 2 times the debt service. So they've met the requirements. We've had legal counsel review it, and everyone's in agreement that they can be released from that debt service guarantee requirement. And that's it. Any questions for me? I'd be happy to answer.
No questions, Mr. President. I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. We are now open for public comments. Mr. Newell.
I have Deborah Bowen.
Ms. Bowen, you're welcome to come to the podium, announce yourself, and make your comments. Please state your name and record for the board.
Deborah Sue Bowen, and I live in the Villages of Miami, and I really appreciate what, was it Christopher, just brought up about vehicles and things in the Villages of Miami. Now, all of a sudden, commercial vehicles are being parked on the roadway, and there's not enough room. And I'm not talking about like a small pickup truck. I'm talking about like something that AT&T would use, or one of us in question is called a Studebaker Electric, and it even has the lift on it. And it blocks the area. I do not like to look out a window to see this type of commercial thing in front of my property. And there's another one that even has the larger vehicle that I've called in before on, and even has an attached trailer. And I just think it looks terrible for the community when you pay your taxes and everything, and you like to keep the property and everything up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will get back to you with the rules and regulations around commercial vehicles being parked in residential areas. Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period, and we will consider votes of resolutions and motions.
I make a motion we approve the liquor license for Julius.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Oh, sure.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Berry.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
I am now going to introduce the resolutions. We will not be voting on these. These are just a first reading. So I introduce Resolution 078-2018, a resolution to adopt an exterior property maintenance resolution which would rescind Resolution 137-97. Any discussion on this introduction? Seeing none, I introduce Resolution 079-2018, a resolution to assign enforcement of the exterior property maintenance resolution to the Community Development Department and rescind Resolution 13-98. Any discussion on this introduction? Seeing none, I introduce Resolution 080-2018, a resolution to establish minimum qualifications for performance of duties related to the enforcement of the exterior property maintenance resolution of Miami Township and rescind Resolution 12-98. Any discussion on this introduction? Seeing none, I introduce Resolution 081-2018, a resolution to establish a fee schedule for citations related to violations of resolutions adopted under Home Rule Authority and rescind Resolution 60-99. Any discussions of this introduction? Seeing none.
I make a motion we approve resolution number 082-2018, a resolution to appoint designees to attend public records training on behalf of the Board of Trustees and Fiscal Officer. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes Betty Eldridge to attend the public records training as designees for the trustees and Julie Hunt to attend public records training for the fiscal officer for 2018, effective immediately.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Berry.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 083-2018, a resolution to authorize participation in the Ohio Treasurer's online checkbook program, ohiocheckbook.com. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes the fiscal officer to provide checkbook-level expenditure information in an electronic format prescribed by and in partnership with the Ohio Treasurer's Office for posting on the transparency website, ohiocheckbook.com.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Berry.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye. I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 084-2018, a resolution to release certain parcels of property from a TIF declaration entered into in connection with Austin Landing Phase 2 project and approving related matters. Therefore, be it resolved, Section 1, Section 2, and Section 3.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Berry.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
We have no public hearings scheduled for this evening. We'll now move into elected official comments. Mr. Berry.
The other night, I was kind of interested to see how many views we've been getting on YouTube for our trustees meetings. And I was a little alarmed that the police station, for their lip sync contest, has had over 10,000 views, and our last meeting had 14. I'm surprised. Now, I want to congratulate the police department on the video that they made to get in that lip sync challenge. I thought it was very well done and showed highly of the Miami Township Police Department. So thank you to all that were involved in that.
Mr. Culp.
Yeah, I'd like to just thank the Parks and Recreation Department for the fine work they've done this summer in improving the parks. On National Night Out, I was over at Zingle Park and saw the extended areas that you put in, the play areas and the swings. And kids were loving them, so I appreciate that.
I would just like to also thank the police department for providing a very detailed, regular report to us on a monthly basis. The trustees are informed of where the activity is, what the runs are about. This is a very good, detailed report. Mr. Berry, if I could ask you to please touch base with the fire department. I would appreciate if I could get a report with some level of detail, maybe on a monthly basis, similar to this one, because quite honestly, right now, I don't know how many runs we're making and whether it's escalating, and to have that kind of data at my fingertips is probably presented to you on a regular basis, but if it could be presented to the entire board in some sort of written form, that would be great.
We could forward the chief's monthly report to you.
That would be perfect. So if we could just maybe add that to the agenda, that the monthly report be presented, and maybe at least invite somebody from the fire department to come and ask if any of the trustees have any questions, have them here to be answered. That would be wonderful.
I'll take care of that, sir.
Mr. Newell.
Just wanted to thank Clay, Lisa, and Penny for their job that they did on this open checkbook project that they've been working on for quite some time. So that was well done there to get that up and running.
Excellent. We do not have a study session scheduled. I will now make a motion to enter into an executive session at 7:06 We will adjourn into an executive session to confer with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action in accordance with ORC 121-22 subsection G subsection 3. At the conclusion of the executive session, we will return to this meeting, at which point we will adjourn the meeting. So everyone is welcome to stay, or you are welcome to dismiss. We will now move into executive section. I'll make that motion at 7:06.
Second?
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Having returned from executive session, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:37.
That's all she wrote.